Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope everybody has had a good day and, excuse me, and is looking forward to the weekend. It's been a rough week for me, and I guess I'm going to start this live by publicly apologizing to anyone who was worried because of the live stream that I had scheduled on Tuesday. I did kind of briefly talk about it in the video that went published this morning. What had happened, I'm just going to explain it here and then we can move on. What had happened was I have not been feeling well since last weekend. It's nothing for anyone really to worry about. It's nothing serious. But I hadn't been feeling well and I was pushing myself through it. And when I woke up on Tuesday, I felt okay and I felt that I could go ahead and schedule it and would be okay to do the live stream. But as the day went on, I got more and more sick and I didn't feel good enough to come on the platform. I always try to, when I come on my live streams, I always want to at least be level-headed. I don't want to feel sick. And if I am feeling sick, my thoughts tend to be all over the place. And I didn't want that really to seep out. So I went into StreamYards from my phone and I deleted the live stream. Now, when you delete live streams from StreamYards, a little bubble pops up and it says, do you want to delete from YouTube? I thought I clicked yes. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I can't 100% remember. But I was under the impression it had deleted off of my YouTube channel as well. I was not aware that it did not delete off of my YouTube channel until quite a while later when I had woken up and had several notifications from people worried about me and asking where I was. And that's when I went in and I deleted it from the channel or unlisted it, whatever. I can't remember which one I did, but I took it off of the channel. It wasn't me trying to be shady. I always, if I have to reschedule something, I usually let you guys know both on Twitter and on my community page, just so you don't worry. I just really was not feeling well and was not in the right good frame of mind to cover all my bases. So I do want to say sorry if anybody was worried or feel that I was trying to do something, leave you guys hanging in any kind of way. That wasn't my intention. I am feeling a lot better today, which is why we're here. And we're just going to kind of chat about, I don't necessarily want to call it a weekly wrap up because I have not really been paying a whole lot of attention to a lot of happenings on YouTube. There's been one thing that I've kind of been paying attention to and going down that rabbit hole to make my own content on. And we can talk about that a little bit. But aside from that, I really haven't been watching any YouTube. I just haven't felt well. I am better today. Clearly, that's why I'm here. I'm in a lot better mood and a lot better spirits. So I did just want to explain that away. So this live stream really isn't focused on any one thing. So if you have any questions or want to talk about anything, that's kind of what this will be. So I guess it kind of is replacing the laid back chat that was going to be on Tuesday for open discussion. And I will be posting the poll, if not later today, tomorrow for Monday's open discussion topics. So keep an eye on that on the community tab. But I do want to go ahead and say hi to everybody. Hello, Melissa. Hey, Claire. Hey, Scarlett. Hey, Susan. I hope you guys are all having a good day and that your week has hopefully been a little bit better than mine. But nevertheless, here we are. Yes, I appreciate that. And I do understand a lot of people were concerned and a lot of people were worried. And I understand that. And I hope people understand, you know, creators are people at the end of the day. So things are going to happen sometimes. And it is what it is. All I can do is apologize and explain what happened. And if people want to remain upset with me or whatever comes of that, it's kind of out of my control. And I understand that. So, hey, Beauty Demon, good to see you. So, one of the, hey, Shaylin, I am feeling much better. Thank you guys for asking and for your concerns. So the only thing that I've kept up with and have been going down the rabbit hole more or less than keeping up with is a topic that several people are starting to pick up now, and that's Hanna Campbell. I have opinions, but I don't have the full story. So I'm going to be doing a video. Hopefully I can get all of my research done and put out a video this coming week. But it is a large rabbit hole. It is such a rabbit hole. I have been watching Xylee. She's been going through it pretty much from beginning to current day, I think, is her process. She's done 2 live streams that have been chock full of information. I will say I had seen videos like from Sloan and a few other smaller creators go out about Hanna. So I knew something was going on, but I hadn't totally dived into those videos or even listened to those videos. I just kept seeing content being made about this individual. And after being on Xylee's chat as a mod, seeing what this creator has done is so insane. And there are so many videos. It goes down so many different rabbit holes. There's so many things to be concerned about and to address that I want to make sure I'm doing all of the research I can before I just sit down and talk about it. But that will be coming. It really is chaotic, and it's quite disturbing, to be honest. Yeah, you've been watching Xylee on that. There's a lot of creators, and she's been linking a lot of different videos that she is covering to also help people have context. And it is just a crazy mess with what's going on there. And I know her and some of their survivors and stuff like that really do want coverage of it to help it be known more to other people, and hopefully so other large channels like Sloan will pick it up and kind of discuss it. So I'm all for assisting in that. And we all have our own opinions, although they're probably going to be very similar because of the context of everything. Every person still delivers things differently. So most of the time for me, when I see a large topic that a whole bunch of people are covering, I usually won't cover it unless I strongly feel one way or another. But with this one, I am going to make a video, even if my thoughts align very similar with other people. A lot of that is because the survivors are wanting people to bring awareness to this situation and to this creator. So I will be doing that. Hopefully I can get it done this week. I'm still researching Trishalicious, so a video will still be out in regards to all of that stuff as well. So those are 2 commentary videos that I am in the process of researching and gathering information to formulate my thoughts. Aside from that, there's going to be a couple of videos that are just kind of normal content for me, I guess you would say. And I may have, I filmed a Get Ready With Me. I don't know if I'm going to post that or not. Maybe I will. We'll see. But does anybody have any cool plans for this weekend or anything fun planned? It is atrociously hot where I'm at right now. So a lot of times we do outdoor stuff, and I just don't think that that's going to happen this weekend. So I don't think we're going to do much of anything. Later today, one fun thing that I'm doing is I'm going to dye my hair. I like this color and everything, but since it was a semi-permanent, it's already kind of fading out, and you can really tell in the front here, it's fading pretty bad. So I have this really dark purple that I'm going to dye it. It's probably going to end up looking almost black. Part of that is because there's an event for my husband's squadron that I have to go to, and I would prefer to not have like multicolored hair for that. So that's part of it. There's a little bit other stuff going on personally that I will probably talk to you guys about in a few months, but I'm not ready to really discuss yet, as things still are being decided and stuff like that. But I will need to have somewhat of a natural hair color. So hopefully this dye goes well and it doesn't turn out weird colors because of so much going on. Really, my hair color is probably about 10 different shades of pink, orange, yellow, and purple in different spots. Like under here, it's pretty bright, and then everywhere else it's kind of darker. So hopefully going with a darker color will neutralize everything. We'll see though. So this will probably be the last time you guys see me with this color hair. Your son's coming over to help you get your heat pumps for AC. Did you mean heat pumps? Heat pumps for your AC. AC is important though. We're in the summer months and it's probably only going to get hotter wherever you're at. So we're the kind of family that keeps our AC running even in the winter. There was only a few days where we actually didn't have our AC on, probably a few weeks where we didn't have our AC on, but for the most part, we like never kick on our heat. We prefer it to be super, super cold. Both my husband and I prefer cold. You should get a hair stripper first. I'm afraid to strip my hair. It already has some damage from the double bleach and this dye, so I'm afraid to strip it, because isn't stripping it like bleaching it almost? And when my mom did it, at least I had someone else to pay attention to where the color was going. And I know my husband will not help me with this, so I'm going to be on my own. And when it comes to box dye, even though I know it's not good for you, I'm used to using box dye. I've done box dye a lot, so I'm more comfortable with that than to strip the color out. I don't know. I don't know if I'll strip it. I probably should, but I don't think I will. Oh, you're making your mom dinner for her birthday? That sounds fun. You bought a kit that was sulfur-based, so no bleach. I have, I think what we did before was like, I don't know, it was a cream bleach, and it was, allegedly it was better to use than like the powder bleach. I don't know. Anytime I've ever dyed my hair before, I've just always gone darker and done like box dye. You guys have seen me do that months ago. I dyed it black. But the box dye that I have is actually sitting right here because I showed people on my crafting channel. So it's like this really, really dark purple that's almost black. And I wanted a darker color just to totally cover. And I was afraid to have any other hue other than like a pink or a purple hue, since that's what's kind of already existing. So there wouldn't be any weird pulling. I really don't want to have to do this twice. Like I don't want to do this and it fail and then me have to go get a black to cover it, because that will definitely kill my hair. My hair's definitely taken some damage, but it's not totally, I don't think it's totally fried. Like I can still dry it and everything, but it's a lot more coarse than what my hair used to feel like. My hair used to be pretty soft and like it was easy to run your fingers through. Now it's a little bit more coarse, and I do tend now to get more tangles than I did before. So I'm afraid if I do anything other than put a color over it, it may start breaking. And my hair is already, you guys know, it's grown out, but it's still pretty short. So if I have too much breakage, I'm going to end up with a very, very short haircut, which I'm not really super vain. Like if my hair ends up falling apart, it is what it is. I would just prefer to not have to have that experience, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You guys will clearly end up knowing how it ends up faring for me. Hey, Pearls of Paragon. No, just put the color on. It's a reddish base, so it'll be okay. I hope so. I mean, if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out. I just don't want to kill my hair. That's my only concern. Hey, Cheryl. Thank you for joining the membership. Yeah, Susan, I hope he's doing okay and recovering well. Do you regret doing it in the first place, dyeing it pink? No, I don't. Hey, Keely, I don't regret dyeing it this color. If we had known, my mom and I had known how things were going to fare out, we probably would have done it a little bit differently. Maybe been a little bit more careful about where the bleach went, because you guys can tell, like if I hold up my hair, you can tell like right here, bleach really didn't take, and it took a little bit here, and that's why it's turning like this weird orange color. My hair didn't totally lift everywhere. It lifted clearly on my roots and on a good bit on the back of my head, but on like the mid shaft part, for some reason, it didn't take in a lot of places, and we ended up redoing the bleach a second time. And I could tell at that point that that's when I started to notice some of the damage to my hair. So rather than doing a bleach another time, I just said, no, like, let's just put the color on. If it ends up funky shades, like whatever, it is what it is. It's just something fun to do. And I've talked about it a few times. When we were getting the dye, it was just one little tube. And I was like, are you sure this is enough? And I even asked the worker that was talking to us, and I was like, are you sure this is enough? It doesn't seem like it's enough to cover. And it's not like I have a whole lot of hair. And she was like, no, one will be fine. And we really barely made it to, my mom did my hair from the back to the front. So we barely made it up here. And that's why this part of my hair is orange, because there was such a light colorant there. And since it's semi-permanent, it's already started to wash out. So it is what it is. I'm not mad about it. It was a fun experience. If it was more of a solid color and wasn't fading out, I would probably leave it. It was my intention to leave my hair until I went to visit my sister and my nieces and let them color it something funky, just to have something fun to do while I was there. But I found out yesterday that there's 2 events this week for my husband's work that I am supposed to go to as a spouse. So I would rather not have like multicolored hair, and with everything else that's kind of going on in the back end personally, I don't know how long I'll be able to have funky colored hair anyways. So going a dark color I think will be best. I've had dark hair before, so hopefully it takes enough to where it covers. It's probably still going to be different shades of this dark color because it's lighter in some areas than others. But as long as it's more uniform than what I have currently, I think it'll be okay. And this one is permanent. It's a permanent dye, so it'll just have to grow out. You might even be able to make autumn work. So when I got this dye, my husband was with me, and I was like, we were at a place that had limited hair selections. It wasn't like a Walmart or a Walgreens or anything like that. The hair color was pretty limited, and it was all pretty much natural colors. The only one that wasn't was this purple. So he even suggested, well, why don't you just do like a deep red, like an auburn color? And I did grab that. And then I was like, well, I'm just worried that it's still not going to take, and it may interact differently, because although this color is more pink, it does have a lot of purple, and I didn't know if it would cover it or if it would pull a weird like green color. So I wanted to go with something dark. So that's kind of what made us end up with the one that I ended up getting. So I did think about going auburn, but ultimately I decided not to. Have I thought about using natural hair dye? I don't even know if I don't know a lot about hair dye, so I didn't even know natural hair dye existed. So I didn't know that. So no, I haven't thought about that. You kept your hair shocking pink for months. It fried your hair. The lockdown let me get a good start on healthy hair. Yeah, I did have black hair dye on my hair before. Most of that, although I did have it, that was also a semi-permanent, so it had primarily washed out. And most of it had gotten cut off when I cut my hair. So I really didn't have a whole lot. And I've not bleached my hair since I was like 18 or 19. And when I bleached my hair, then it was done professionally, but not in a salon. It was someone who had professional products and was a cosmetologist and a hairdresser. She had done it. The dye is henna based. I haven't heard of that. The first time you colored your hair was 14. The first time I colored my hair was, I was 18 or 19. And I think when my mom was on my channel, I talked about it, how I wanted to go like a strawberry blonde color. And my sister and I went and got a box dye, and it turned out like bright fire engine red. And I did not, looking back at the pictures, I have like one picture of it, and it looked okay. I just didn't like it. So that's when I had bleached it. Once you started going gray, you used raspberry and chamomile. Interesting. See, I don't know anything about home remedies and mixing stuff on your own. You always make a mess with henna. I've never played with henna. When I was younger, I think most of us at some point maybe have the experience of going to a fair or a festival or something like that and having the henna tattoos. I know I did that before. That's interesting. I'll have to, I don't know. I think after this dye, depending on what all happens in the next couple of months, I probably will leave my hair alone. Your hair is growing back in salt and pepper after chemo. I love the salt and pepper look. I really do enjoy salt and pepper. I think it's pretty. I like salt and pepper, or like super silver when as you get older. Well, it doesn't even matter as you get older. Some people gray younger. When your gray hair grows in more silver, I think that's really pretty. And I mean, it's kind of been a trend lately for like the last year or two for people to dye their hair that color. You're trying to convince your mom to do it. My mom won't go silver until she has enough of it to grow, I think. I don't know. I know she dyes her hair. She has it done. And aloe vera for hair loss. Interesting. Your PhD advisor had a white strip that grew naturally in her hair, and you always thought that was the coolest look. When I was in high school, there was a friend of mine who also had a patch of his hair that just naturally grew in gray. We've had a lot of hair talk. I guess that's exciting. Something different. So hopefully in pure white at 17, I think that's cool. I know some people, it makes people self-conscious when they start to go gray and they start to salt and pepper, or if you have like a genetics in your genetics where you gray quicker. But I just always thought it was really, I think it's pretty. I think it compliments people. Maybe I'm in the minority there. Your mom's almost all white now. My mom's hair, I know she gets some gray, but I don't think she gets as much gray as she says she does. I don't know. She dyes it, so I don't know what I don't know. Yours came back curly and thick after chemo. And it came back fine and thin and dark. Yeah, my hair is weird. My hair is really fine. So it's not that I don't have I don't have thick hair. I think I have a normal amount of hair, but it's super thin. So not super thin, it's super fine. So it looks thinner than it is. And I've never really experimented with hair products or anything like that to like zhuzh it up or make it look more full. Most of the time, I think you guys probably know, most of the time I just have my hair up anyways. You've always had straight hair and yours came back wavy until your first trim, and now it's just thin and straight. Yeah, I have very, very, very straight hair. If it's wet and I leave it in a bun, I can get some kind of curl out of it. But my hair is so fine that even if I try to actually curl it with a curling iron, it'll fall out within a few hours. It does not hold, no matter how much hairspray, how much mousse, any of that, it just doesn't hold. When how old was I? I was in middle school. I think I was in 8th grade. My mom let me get a perm, like a spiraled perm. So I had that for about a year until it grew out and faded. And I really liked it. I didn't so much, even though I was younger, the upkeep of it was kind of annoying where I always had to like put product in my hair, which I think is why I don't like to use product now. Not because I think I'm sure some of it is unhealthy for your hair and stuff like that, but it's more because I don't like the feel of product. I don't like the feel of mousse or hairspray. I used to have Ipsy and I would get like different hair samples and hair stuff. I have a whole drawer that I'm going to probably donate along with some makeup from when I did my declutter a few months ago that I'm going to donate. And it's all full of like hair stuff. I'm too paranoid and I don't like how it feels. You begged your mom for a perm as a kid and it fell out in a week. Oh no. Yeah, the perm actually held on my hair for quite a while. Yours is thick and coarse, so it can look like you're deranged if you don't keep it in control. My mom has really thick hair, and so does my sister. They both have extremely thick hair. I really don't know what to chat about since I have kind of been off of the YouTubes this week. I don't really know what's all been going on. Have you guys seen anything? Is there anything going on YouTube that you guys are keeping up with? Oh no, the perm you had fried your hair and ended with a pixie cut. Oh, I don't think I would perm my hair again though. Looking back, it was a lot of upkeep. I'm feeling much better. Much, much better. It was a good week to be off YouTube and Twitter. You know, everybody needs their breaks at times, whether it's because you're choosing to take a break or if it's because you feel you need a break. Yeah, James Charles came back. I talked about that on Monday, I think, how he came back. And I'm not shocked he came back, and I talked about it in that live stream. It says a lot to me, and I know to others that have talked about it, is for you to come back and reference your taking accountability video so much in that video and then delete it or private it. To me, it just screams guilt. It screams, deflection. It screams, him just trying to save face PR stunt. And it's just really, it's really gross. And we all know that his subscriber base is most likely pretty young. And when you're young, whether you want to admit it or not, you are more easily manipulated, and you're not necessarily going to pick up or understand all of the nuances to why people have concerns, aside from like the blatant behavior we know of and what he did admit to in that video. It's just really, it's really off-putting. You left too, so it's refreshing to come back. You've been offline. I'm glad you got to see your daughter, Cheryl. You love that Gabby Hanna's video about Jesse has less than 1 million views, but Jesse's has over 3.5 million. I didn't look at that. I didn't look at the analytics of how many views each had. I talked about Gabby Hanna a little bit in that live stream too. Like, I've never been a fan of Gabby. I've never watched her regularly. The only times I ever did watch her content was when she was involved in controversy or dramas or scandals. Then I would go and watch her videos to see her opinion and her side of it and hear where she was coming from, just to be able to form my own opinions about it all. And what has got me so confused, and I think it's because I don't watch her content and I don't know her as a creator, is in this series that she has been working on for months and is now releasing. In the first half of every video, she's talking about things that don't even make sense to what she ends up titling her video. And yeah, it's not necessarily clickbait because she talks about it eventually. But is she doing that for the AdSense money? Is she doing that because that's just how she does her content, where she rambles on and doesn't make any sense? She also does a lot of blaming on her ADHD now that she's diagnosed, and she's constantly like referring to her ADHD as being an excuse for her behavior. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Your mental health is not an excuse. Can it, in some situations, be an explanation as to how you handle certain things? It can explain that aspect of it, but it can't be an excuse for engaging in problematic behavior and kind of being awful to people. I mean, ADHD doesn't make you a mean person. It doesn't make you treat people poorly. You know, and that's kind of what she is, from what I have seen, in my opinion, that's kind of what she's trying to push out there. And it's really, really kind of annoying. And I know a lot of people have brought that up. I also don't think the series has gone the way she had anticipated, because a lot of the channels that she has called out in up into this part with Jesse and everything hasn't gone in her favor, because it has in turn made creators who don't typically talk about drama and bring receipts and stuff like that, it has made them feel that they have to defend themselves and explain a situation, and they're showing receipts and they're showing the evidence of what actually had transpired, and it does not align with what Gabby thinks. And I really am interested to know if Gabby genuinely has made herself believe that this is how things had happened, if it is how she has she believed it into existence on her own. It's very confusing. He's got a makeup brand he has set to launch. He had to go back online. So really, is there, like, Beauty Demon, is there information out there that he actually has a brand he's waiting to launch? Hey, Gwen, good to see you. Bye, Claire. I'm glad you stopped in. Oh, I'm glad, Melissa. I'm glad it's not the C word, but I hope they're able to figure it out for you guys and give you guys some answers. Yeah, I know, Beauty Demon, that she admitted she didn't even read the text. Like, she wanted to put in, Gabby said in her video, which I also talked about how I found it was interesting that the 2 videos she has released in relation to Jessie Smiles, which were not a part of, well, Jessie Smiles had one video, and then she talks about the Jessie Smiles situation and Angelica Oles. And in those 2 latest videos that weren't a part of the series, but videos that she filmed, those are very much to the point and get everything out. Although, you know, you can take her receipts for as you will. I would assume that her series would have been filmed in that kind of manner rather than the first half of the videos really not making any kind of sense and just trying to put it all on her mental health. But what I found interesting was in her video where she is saying, I was putting in boundaries, I was doing this, I was doing that. And then in Jesse's video, to clarify, she was like, I also put in boundaries. And there is screenshot evidence of Gabby dismissing the boundaries that Jesse had, which goes to show, in my opinion, that Gabby doesn't care what anybody else thinks. She only thinks that her opinion and what she says and the boundaries that she puts in place matter, and no one else's matter. She very much was dismissing Jesse about the boundaries she was putting in place and how she was actually trying to come to some kind of compromise between the two of them. She clearly only wanted to go with what she thought, and anything that wasn't what she thought or wasn't what she wanted wasn't going to be okay with her. And it's just insane. And she did admit she didn't listen to the 3-hour phone call. I will openly admit I haven't listened to that 3-hour phone call. So I don't know what all in context it has or how it is perceived. So I don't have any opinions on that. I only have opinions on the small bits that have been released. It's also just it's gross. The whole way that Gabby is handling the situation with Jesse from start to end it's just nasty. There's no excuse to treat a person like that, especially when you know the trauma that person has experienced and you're taking it out of context to try and pit yourself as you being the one who was done wrong. And she's not even taking into account the trauma and the experience that Jesse had and what her bringing all of this to the forefront and back into the limelight, what that could do to Jesse. It's very much of her trying to vindicate herself in any way possible. And it's just, in my opinion, it's not going over the way she had anticipated. I really feel that she thought this series was going to be a big middle finger to everybody, and she was going to regain all of her popularity and be back on top. And clearly that, from what I am seeing, that's not what's happened. It's had the total opposite effect. You said this yesterday. Some people are struggling with mental illness and a-holes. Doesn't mean they're related. Exactly. James said at some point he was launching before he got canceled. And he got canceled. As he got canceled, he was being approved for trademarks. I think it's just, for the past couple of years, I think it has just become almost normal and a part of influencers creating their own I don't know, because James Charles' situation is pretty serious, but it seems like for most influencers who create a brand or have a launch or have something that they are wanting to promote, they almost always end up in some kind of scandal or controversy to get publicity, because as the saying goes, any publicity is good publicity because you're being talked about and people are curious. Just like myself, although I wasn't a fan of Gabby when her scandals were happening, I would go watch her videos to get the full context. And if you're someone who wants to think critically, or you're wanting to get the full story before you make your opinion, you're likely to go and watch that person. So you end up going to watch to see what they say. And if you're only watching 1 or 2 videos of somebody apologizing or assuming to own up to their mistakes, you're not necessarily gathering the full context of that creator. Because creators, if you're only watching specific videos that they make, you're not getting the full concept of who that creator is. And I do that. I mean, I think we all do. It's not necessarily something to be shameful about, but I think that's kind of how people operate with their subscriptions to creators, is they'll see one or two videos that they really like, or they really align, like their thoughts align with what the creator's saying, and then they hit the subscribe button, and then the rest of their content may not be something you're interested in, so you don't watch it and you just remain subscribed to them, only watching what you're interested in, which it could be giving you a false reality of what that creator is and how that creator operates, if that made any sense. That seems to be common among drama channels that are problematic. Yeah, ADHD is not an excuse for poor behavior. I agree. Hey, Just Doing Me, how are you? Hey, Sharon. Hey, Just Dom. You've been saying the exact same thing. I think sometimes people hear what creators say or what subscribers say, and it kind of just goes into a void. He doesn't seem to think his situation is that serious. I think that's what bothers you the most. He clearly doesn't get the gravity of what he's been accused of. I don't know if I fully agree with everything there. I do think, and these are my opinions, I do think he understands the seriousness of what he's being accused of and what people are saying about him. And I think he is trying to deflect so people don't understand that he does understand the seriousness. And I think he almost feels like he put his foot in his mouth with his taking accountability video, and he understands that it could be used against him, and he doesn't want that out there. So I feel like personally that this was a plan, that he was going to leave his taking accountability video up just so he could have something out there addressing it. And then once he came back and addressed it again, he was always going to take that video down. I think he always had planned to replace it, so to speak. And I just think it shows more guilt personally than anything, because of how he has gone about this. Because in his video, he references that video that he has since taken down. He references it often. And why would you reference a video and then delete it? Unless you feel guilty about what was said in that video. And Xylee has even played a part of it in the live stream she did earlier this week addressing James Charles coming back, or maybe it was last week, where she did her live stream addressing that he came back. He acknowledged in that video that there were legitimate victims. That was his exact verbiage, that he was sorry to the victims. I mean, that's taking ownership. And he also acknowledged that he was DMing underage fans. So he did take accountability in that video to a degree. Was it the accountability we all would hope he had taken? No, I don't think he ever will. But to have that up there and then take it down when you're still referencing it, and I think it's because of probably his PR firm or whoever, his management, whatever, probably said, listen, this looks really bad if you have this on your channel where you're acknowledging that you did engage with explicit conversations with children and that you did call them victims. I mean, you're taking some kind of ownership to knowing what you were doing was inappropriate. Whether you knew how old they were or not at the time of the conversation starting, like, that's almost null and void to me. And he has been in this type of scandal before with by sister, and everybody's feedback in almost every single video people made on James Charles, myself included, stated, cover your butt, ask for IDs, it's maybe seeming to people that you're overstepping, but when you have a platform and you've already been accused of this kind of behavior, you would think to CYA and to not care if they're not going to give you their ID, then you shouldn't be talking to them. They clearly don't take you seriously or potentially being in a relationship with you seriously if they're not willing to prove their age. I mean, and the same thing goes on with all of these other creators who are engaging in inappropriate behavior with their fan bases. Why are you guys so open to talking to children? And I mean, I'm a creator who leaves my DMs and my emails open for people. However, my audience, you can tell as a creator, you can tell your core audience in your analytics. My core audience is my age. I have like 1% of my audience that is 18 to like 24, I think. I don't have any young people who watch my content, which is a good thing. I don't think young people should necessarily engage all the content that I create because we do talk about serious things. But I mean, this even goes in hand with the Anna Campbell stuff. Why are you so open to have inappropriate and explicit conversations with people you don't know their age of? There's already a power imbalance. You have a large following. Clearly, they like you, and that's why they're talking to you. They look up to you. They idolize you. They may even have a crush on you. You know that as a creator if you have a younger fan base. Why are you not being responsible with your platforms? If you're going to have open DMs, you should not be talking in an inappropriate way. You should not be trying to have relationships with people who are your fans. You're setting yourself up for, I'm just going to say it. You're setting yourself up for an abusive relationship because there's already a power imbalance. There's already a power struggle. And if you're older than them and they already look up to you, there's already a power imbalance, which is easily relayed to DV in the power and control wheel, because you already have power and you already have control over that person. And if they're younger, then it's even worse because they're immature. They're probably not fully developed. They cannot read what is right and wrong in situations, what is right and wrong in relationships. And it's just absolutely deplorable that these creators are so flippantly talking with these people who they don't know their age, or they know that they're underage and they continue to talk to them anyways, especially in a sexual manner. Like, what? To me, you cannot defend that you're not grooming or leading towards the P word kind of behavior. If you know that they're underage and you are actively engaging in explicit or inappropriate conversations, how can you defend that you're not engaging in that kind of behavior? How? Like, it just doesn't, it does not make sense. You agree he knew that he may have given himself a huge liability. I think he did. I genuinely think some of his firm watched it back and they were like, you need to get this down. You need to replace it some way. Debbie, you're very slow to subscribe. Always watch old videos before they have become more aware of how they are perceived. It's a more true reflection of who they really are. And then if you like them, you subscribe. I can understand that. And I think people are starting to be more hesitant to hit that subscribe button. Ignorance of the law doesn't make you absolved from the consequences. Not that I personally believe he's actually ignorant of the severity of his behavior. Yeah, I agree with you, Chelsea. You're sure his attorneys have made it very clear what sort of trouble he could be in? I mean, you would think. Oh no, you lost signal. Storms are approaching. I hope it doesn't get too bad for you. You want to know how hard it is to ask for an ID. I mean, seriously, if you're just in DMs, like, it's a simple answer. Like, hey, if you want to talk to me and it's any kind of dating app, or the DMs start to turn to that direction where it seems that a relationship may be trying to be formed, you should say, hey, can I have your ID? Otherwise, I'm not going to talk to you. Or just start the conversation like that. When you have a massive platform and you know your audience is more underage than above age, I don't think it's inappropriate to say, I'm not going to continue a conversation with you until I know your legal age. Please send me an ID. And make sure that it is an actual photo ID and not something pulled off of Google. Then the other day he had a story, hey, DM me if you're a graphic designer, need me thumbnails. So he was inviting people to, I think I saw something like that on Twitter and I didn't look to see what the context was. Yeah, it's not unheard of to have like creators to publicly ask for assistance when it comes to their channels. But when you've been in as much controversy over the kind of conversations you're having in DMs, openly blurting that out to millions of people is just asking for your DMs to be flooded and for potential issues to happen again. You don't talk to anyone unless you see them on video. Whoops. It also always annoys me when he uses the excuse that he can't find a partner. Yes, romantic connections are important, but he's acting like he can't find someone to grow old with, and he's 21. So, I don't know. The whole trying to find a partner for the rest of your life, like I've talked about this before. Even when I was in high school, I was always a serial monogamous. Like I didn't always want to be in a relationship, but if I was in a relationship, I was looking to be in that relationship long term. I was never the kind of person to date just to date somebody. Like I always was looking at them for the aspect of a forever partner. And whenever things would happen or serious differences, that's when the relationship would end. I mean, in high school, I dated 2 people, and both of those relationships were long period relationships, and the same from when I got out of high school. So I understand wanting to be in a relationship and find your forever person, but it's as if he has watched too many Disney movies and too many Hallmark movies where it's you meet and it's like serendipity and it's automatic love and forever after. Like that's not real life. You're not going to be compatible with everybody. And putting it on a thing like I'm desperate, so that's why I was open to talking to whoever. That's not an excuse for putting aside your morals and your ethics just to hope that you find love. And if they're underage, they are not going to be mentally developed or mature enough to have that relationship with you to begin with. It's just not going to happen. And also, what's confusing to me is he talks about this, him wanting a relationship and wanting somebody. He talks about it as if he wants somebody forever and then he just wants someone. If it's that you don't want to be alone, I mean, you are a millionaire, if not a billionaire. Like, I hate to say that, but you have the money to spend to have your needs met. I mean, I know that may be skeevy to some people, but that's just reality. That's life. There's nothing wrong with it. So if you just want to be with somebody for the sake of having human contact and having a romantic experience, if you're that desperate, you can pay for it. And it doesn't make sense on how he interchanged these. It was very confusing that if you have a younger fan base who can't understand that because they've not had the life experiences, they're not going to get it. Also, he talked about how him being famous is a part of his issue. I'm sorry, how many celebrities are there in this world? How many actors and singers and songwriters and producers are there in this world that have perfectly normal relationships with people who are not celebrities, with people who are just normal people that they meet? If you are having the issue that you're an influencer and that you're a celebrity with people you're meeting, it's because you are only seeking out your fans. It's because you are only opening up the conversation of a romantic relationship with people who already know of your existence. Maybe stop trying to date people that know of you. Maybe try to date people who don't know of you. And I know you have 25 million subscribers on YouTube, but that doesn't mean that there's celebrities, like famous actors and actresses who are able to meet people who don't even know they exist. So I don't like that argument that I'm a celebrity. And he also talks about he would like to date another celebrity because of him not having to have the financial responsibility. It seems like he has some preconceived notions on what a relationship looks like for him and what a relationship could be like for him. Just because you're a celebrity and you may date somebody normal doesn't mean that you have to foot the bill for everything. That's called a boundary. That's a communication thing that you have with your partner. You don't have to, because you're in a relationship, foot the bill. Like, you don't have to buy them nice gifts if you don't want to. That's a preconceived thing that he has going on that I hope he is able to talk to some kind of professional or life coach or therapist about his thoughts of having a relationship and what that looks like, because it seems to me from what he has said in both of these videos and his other scandal is he is very immature. Like, his mentality of dating and being in a relationship is very immature, which I think is a lot of why he is struggling to find a love forever. It's hard to find that when you're in an immature mindset. He isn't fully developed either. Yeah, he's not. Hey, Xylee, what you cooking, girl? The language he uses in DMs is very demanding because he understands the dynamic. I agree. Like, I think a lot of what he says and what he's portrayed out is manipulative and it's deflection. And if you're immature and you don't have a fully developed brain, and I don't mean that in a negative way, it's just the reality of, if you're younger, you're not going to grasp the context. You're not going to be able to grasp the nuance. And that's why a lot of creators who talk about him and call this out are people who are adults, are people who have lived life, who have had these experiences. All he had to do was watch Emily D. Baker's video. Oh no, you're trans. I hope you're okay. I hope it's not super hot where you're at. Your motto, don't live life for someone else, live it for yourself. A partner doesn't always make you happy and isn't an end all be all. And like, relationships, marriages, whatever have you, they're not like roses and sunshine all the time. That's, if you have a relationship like that, it's not 100% normal. I mean, compromises is a part of a partnership, is a part of forever relationship. You're going to butt heads at some point. Is he famous outside of YouTube? I mean, so he has such a large following that, you know, I would say he's probably celebrity status. When are parents going to parent? Why don't they look at who their children follow on social media? I think that's a part of the equation. I also think parents would approve younger people of watching James because his content really isn't problematic. Yes, his videos addressing this scenario are problematic, but overall his content is not problematic. It's what happens in DMs that is problematic. And that is kind of where parenting may need to be a little bit more strict on teenagers and young children and how they are communicating and if they're communicating with people online. You mean Nikita brought a boyfriend, so James can too. I mean, that's my point. Like, if you're that lonely and you're that desperate, who knows what his personal feelings on that are, but it is a possibility. Like, you can't just deflect it all on being desperate and wanting human touch. Hey, Tutu Queen, good to see you. I'm glad you caught a live. Also, maybe it's okay to get pizza if that's all your date can afford. He seems to want the stars in the mood, but not a real partner. I mean, that's just me. That's kind of what I was saying with, I think he views a relationship as a fairy tale. And that's just not what real relationships are. It's not. The conversations were charged. Not that's bad if we're all adults, but I digress. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. A lot of it comes down to the power. Like, all of this comes down to me with these creators who engage in this kind of behavior is just the power dynamic. Like, you already know there's a power dynamic. You know your fan base. You know the amount of followers you have. You know how you're seen in the public eye. You know there's already an imbalance going into any kind of DM conversation. Why creators are so open to just discuss really personal things with people in DMs is quite shocking. Question, how was your experience to cover certain stories? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Sincere. You have been happily with your partner for 22 years, but it's all about compromise. You're 52 and she's 65. I mean, my husband and I we got married young. We got married when we were both 21, just about 22. And we have, in February, we will have been married for 10 years. And it's definitely not been a fairy tale. Like, for the most part, we get along. Like, we hardly ever have arguments or disagreements, but they do happen. And they usually happen over some pretty serious and heavy topics. But I mean, that's part of a relationship, is being able to navigate that. If he wants someone who is financially and socially his equal, he needs to stay out of the kiddie pond. He isn't a teenager. He needs to get past talking to them. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, Cheryl. Like, if somebody's coming into your DMs from your social media and not a dating app, that already should be a red flag, in my opinion, for any creator, not just James Charles. For any kind of creator, you have to understand that they know there's a power dynamic. You can't, to me, any creator trying to deflect and say that they were just trying to live a normal life, like, if they're coming onto your social medias to talk to you, there's already an issue there. If you're on a dating app and they happen to find you, that's when you need to set in place some hurdles and boundaries for people to cross. If they really genuinely want to get to know you, they will. That's what, even for us normal people who aren't celebrities, I mean, most people don't just jump into automatically being in a relationship. You typically have a period of time where you're just talking and getting to know each other and knowing each other's like core values, your morals, your ethics, what you're okay with, what you're not okay with, what kind of past experiences you've had, what you're not willing to tolerate in a new relationship. I mean, you typically have that period of time, and that looks different for different people. You know, I have talked about how my husband and we moved very, very quickly, but we had all of those conversations. Like, it's almost important to have those conversations before you label anything, so you know if you're going to be compatible moving forward. Do you feel you can have healthy relationships while being a content creator? Yeah. If you're talking about with like a significant other, a partner or spouse, yes, I think that's possible. I think the waters do get kind of convoluted if they are also a public figure, or if you make them a part of your content. Like Amberlynn Reed, for instance. I don't know how many of you guys watch her or keep up with her. She's somebody that I've kind of always, I've not necessarily watched her. I more or less watch reaction channels of her, but she's somebody that I've watched her life unfold on YouTube. And she very much publicizes her relationships, and it comes back in a bad way whenever things don't go well. And I mean, that's part of life. Relationships don't always end in bliss. And I think when you subject your audience to becoming a part of that relationship, it is going to put more stress on your relationship that maybe wouldn't be there if you didn't have it out for the public. I do think that there probably is a certain boundary to have your spouse or your partner on your channel if they aren't a creator, to an extent that wouldn't cause issues. But overall, I think if you're both forming a channel and working a channel together, and making that a part of your content is your relationship and you hanging out and things like that, I do think that that is going to provide stress to your relationship, because people are constantly going to be judging how you guys interact. They're constantly, I mean, you have trolls and you have negative people who are constantly going to be putting in doubt in your comment section that, oh, they're not being faithful, or did you see this, or did you see that, which may not be true. They may be trolling. But if you have someone who is jealous or already struggles with trust issues, seeing comments like that could end up rolling over into the actual relationship and causing arguments and causing stress on the relationship that wouldn't be there if you didn't publicize it, if that makes sense. So I think there is a fine line. I do think it's possible. I've said before, I'm not totally against having my husband on my platform, but he doesn't want to be a part of it for his own reasons. And it has nothing to do with drama or anything like that. It has to do with other personal things for him. And I respect that. But if he ever changes his mind and wants to do like a cute husband tag or something like that, that's probably the extent he would have on my channel. It wouldn't be where we were starting this group channel together and it being about our vlogging, like our lives and stuff like that, because it just really muddies the water. Seriously, isn't there a gay scene in LA? Maybe he should visit. I mean, I understand that what his preferences are may not be openly accessible to someone of his same social and economic status. I mean, I understand that. And I'm not going to dismiss that, because that's true. Like, he probably is going to struggle to find somebody in LA that he knows with. That's great. Now we're being trolled. That's lovely. Sorry about that. So, I mean, I can understand that he maybe has a smaller pool, but again, it's not an excuse for what happened and what he did. It's not an excuse. And he's trying to use that as an excuse. And there still are people who are going to be in the demographic he's looking for a relationship. It may not be in LA. It may be somebody who's out of state or out of his city. Who knows? But I said for the LGBTQ community, it is different. We have less role models for long-term relationships in general. Yeah, and the dynamics tend to be different. Yeah, and, I have mentioned before, I have family that are a part of the LGBTQ plus community. And so I don't have the exact experience, but I do know of the struggles and the experiences that people in the community face on a couple of different levels. I haven't really shared a lot of that because it's basing off of things that I have experienced with them or, their own experiences, and it's not my place to tell their story. It's not my place to discuss things that have happened, but it is very different. And I do think people who aren't necessarily aware or have family or close friends who are a part of the community, they really don't know. It is more of an ignorance in that sense of knowing how the community can be in the different dynamics that people within the LGBTQ plus community face, struggle, and deal with. Your husband wouldn't want to be on your channel if you had one. It's okay, Beauty Demon. It's not a big deal. I think that's the second one, the second troll we've gotten today. It's all right. I'm not worried about it. Bets on James Charles going on a celebrity dating show. I mean, he might now that he's made like his dating situation so public, he may be reached out to for that. I don't know. We'll see how that folds out. Alrighty, guys. Well, I think I am going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream. We've been on for a little bit over an hour. But I will, like I said at the beginning, I will be posting, if not today, tomorrow, I will be posting the poll. I almost said the vote. I mean, it kind of is a vote. The poll for Monday's open discussion. If you have any suggestions, you can email or DM me. All of the links to contact me are in the description box. I will have that posted, and then we'll have open discussion on Monday, and hopefully I can do quite a bit of research and get some of these commentary videos out for you next week with some sprinkled other content in the mix. But if you guys ever have any topics that you want me to talk about or that you've seen and you think I may be interested in, again, feel free to always send them to me. And if I have time, I will. I've had quite a few sent to me recently that I'm trying to go through. I kind of want to get through this Hanna Campbell stuff. To me, it has a little bit more precedence since people in the survivors are asking for it to be talked about right now. I don't want to end up doing it like months later and it kind of not make sense, if that makes sense. How many times can you say sense in just a short time period? So yeah, that's kind of what's going to be coming. Tessa, yeah, I only have one membership level that is $9.99. I'm thinking about it because it's been a lot of constructive criticism has been coming that people are kind of displeased with just the one membership level. So I am thinking on how to add maybe one other level at a lower cost with not as many benefits. I have to look through that and see what my schedule has for flexibility and make sure the people who are already subscribed aren't losing on all of their benefits, making it feel that I have retracted back. So I am revisiting that over the weekend. There may be another level. If I add one, I will discuss it. But for right now, that is the only level I have. And again, I understand it is a little bit more costly. I have discussed it a couple of times on what brought me to the cost and all of the content that they're getting. So I will look at it. I will see if there's a way to break it up and make one level a little bit more accessible, but I can't make any promises. I'm going to look at it this weekend though. So if you're interested in being a member and that's just a little bit out of your price range, you can reach out to me or I'll try to mention it if I add one. In my live on Monday, I'm going to try and have any decision made by then. But I hope everybody has a good rest of your Friday, and I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. And I will see you guys on Monday, unless I end up with absolutely nothing to do this weekend. I may hop on and have just another random conversation. We'll see. I kind of feel bad for this week being all over the place and want to make that up to you guys. So I will keep you guys posted. But I hope you all have a good day, evening, or night, wherever you guys are. And until next time, bye.